Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, whatever it is where you are, whenever you're watching Hometown Cable, Gordy Little and Calvin Castine on the 16th of March 2016. We've already done it to the Ides of March. We've already done it to Eastern Daylight Time, savings time, and who knows what's going to be next. Spring. Just keep telling yourself spring. People have been telling me they've seen robins, and we haven't had one in our yard yet, but we're hoping. We are hoping. If you don't recognize this venue, I'd be delighted to tell you about it because that's why we're here. It's called Woodmen Life, formerly known as Woodmen of the World. We've done a number of programs with these people over the years. Calvin has been associated with them for decades, and I have for many years. Our good friend Tim Gonyo is now the general manager of this particular location near Halsey's Corners in Plattsburgh at the top of the Boynton Avenue Hill, right across the street from a famous historic sign where they have reenactments just about every year, right across from our friends Punky's Hair Salon, Sheer Perfection across the street, and a nice place. This locale has housed quite a few different things since I've been around, and I was thrilled and delighted when Tim and his crew took over, rebuilt the place, and remodeled it. And I think it's just about time we have a cook's tour. Calvin agreed, and so that's one reason we're here today. So I hope you enjoy what you see on Hometown Cable in our little corner. And the carnival barker would say we're on the inside. Tim Gonyo, how are you, my friend?
Good, Gordy. Good to have you here.
I always, when I know I'm going to talk to you for a while, I always reflect on our friendship, which goes back a few years. Can you remember when and how we first met?
We first met when Todd Castine brought me in to meet you because I'd worked in radio with the college station, and Todd had gotten a part-time job there at Wiry, and he brought me in to meet you, and I started with you guys.
What year?
Oh, don't ask me that.
Because I can't remember what I had for breakfast.
It had to have been 91, maybe.
So you were just
90 or 91.
You were just a child.
I was just out of college.
Isn't that amazing?
Yep.
And here we are. Our paths have intersected and crossed, and
many times.
Many times since then. And a lot of it has to do with the organization that we're going to talk a lot about today. Formerly Woodmen of the World, and now Woodmen Life.
Yes. Yeah.
And my association with Woodmen Life goes back way before I met you, when a gentleman whose name I think you know, but I have no idea, came into the radio.
I can't remember.
Into the radio station.
I remember the story, but I can't remember.
And gave me a pitch that I couldn't refuse. So I signed up then, and I've been a member ever since. And of course, Calvin on the other end of the camera has been associated with Woodmen Life for a long time.
Absolutely. Mm-hmm.
So how did you first get connected with this organization?
Well, that was family.
What was?
That was actually. I mean, if we go way back, and I think it was with Calvin. My sister worked and sold Woodmen Life. My sister Linda worked.
I guess I knew that, but I
forgot. Life back when I was in high school. I think it was around the time that her son Rob was born, and he's in his 30s now. So that was it had to have been when I was in high school. But she sold for Woodmen. And I can remember going to the lodge hall for something back in those days, but I never really getting any farther than that. And then actually, right around that time in the '90s, I was interviewed and actually almost went to work for Dwayne Langlois. In fact, I have a field code that is older than our regional director, that is older than Wales, that is older than everybody, because apparently I signed a contract, but then I can remember one day Dwayne and I going for a walk and just basically deciding together that this probably wasn't the thing for me at the time, because I was just out of high school, just out of college, and it just, it was early to start a sales career. So years later, I came back after my dad passed in the early 2000s, and ran into Dale Gonyo, who was the former recruiting sales manager. Ran into him at a picnic or something, and he said, "Hey, what do you think about coming and looking at this?" And I looked at him like he had three heads, and I said, "Are you crazy?" And here I am.
And all three heads said, "No, we're not crazy." And as long as you brought up the name Dale, Dale's been on our program, on our little corner, and other shows that Calvin has done through the years. And now he's not here today.
Now he's not here. Dale has officially retired as the recruiting sales manager, and he's spent the last
hooray after all those years.
He's loving it. He's down in Florida. He's been in the Lakeland area now for going on 3 months, and enjoying the lifestyle, enjoying doing what he's doing. But yesterday, actually, I was on the phone with him, and we were getting his Florida license so that he can sell down there, because he has some people that he's been talking to about Woodmen Life and about some of the different things that we do and we can offer. And so we just set him up with his Florida license, and he got fingerprinted in Florida this morning for his licensing. Went the next day, got fingerprinted, he's ready to go. So he'll be back on the horse and with a retirement contract and doing what he does. They're actually going to come up. He'll be back in May.
We will.
They're going to. There's a new baby coming in Cincinnati with the grandchildren, and they're gonna come back to Florida via Cincinnati, and then come back around the beginning of May.
Terrific. So it's in his blood, and it's by now it's certainly in your blood, Timothy.
Absolutely. Yeah, we've been doing it now for about 8 years, so I'm going on 9, and it's...
Birthday boy, we should mention that yesterday was your birthday on the 15th.
Yes.
You were 27 years old.
27 years old.
we all have wishes that we make when we blow the
that
candles.
That would be nice, yeah.
You didn't even have time to enjoy your cake on your birthday.
It's the whole if you knew now what you knew then. I knew then what you know now.
You know what? But fate chases us around. And fate has had a good finger on your shoulder for a long, long time, or should I say a gentle hand. I'm not smart enough to be guided myself, so I have to rely on fate. But here you are, and we've seen what you do in how many different iterations now? How many different venues have you been in since I knew you with Woodmen?
I started just helping Dale out in the office and, saying, I'm not really going to do this.
Where was the office then?
Oh, you're going to ask me all the different places that Dale moved?
Before we finish here today, I want people to know a lot about Woodmen Life.
When I started, Dale was at Ampersand.
Oh, yes.
And before that, I think he was actually upstairs at Lee's.
I remember that
on
too.
Route 3.
Yes.
He's been on, I think, the Turnpike. I'm not sure. I don't remember. That was before me. But when I started, he was on Ampersand, and he was just moving from Ampersand. When I actually really started, we were at 37 Boynton.
Yeah.
Right across from GP. From there...
Wasn't a former bottle redemption place somewhere?
I think so, yeah.
I think it
we got
was.
in there, and it was really a nice...
I remember my 6-packs of Genesee bottles that went back there.
Yeah, it was really a nice little office right there in the front, 37 Boynton. And then I think we were there for a couple of years. Dale always had a little wanderlust when it came to moving around the city. We ended up at Riley. 34 Riley.
Oh, yes.
That's now cleaning place.
Yes.
And I think Associated Healthcare is still in the back. They were there when we were there. Was a dance studio as well. I'm not sure if that's still there, but all
I
there.
have no idea.
Anyway, 34 Riley was a good location for us, and was basically built to suit us. We were there for several years, and then Dale and I parted ways for a short time as I became the manager over in Vermont, and I had an office in St. Albans, and he moved at the same time to upstairs in the West Elcom Suites. And it was a beautiful suite, a beautiful office in the West Elcom Suites. over the course of 2 years, I gave the management thing a try early in Vermont, but it was an hour-long commute every morning, hour-long commute every night, and I wasn't home. And so after a year and a half to 2 years, I said, you know what, I'm better off just coming home, going back into the field, and being a part of Dale's team. And from there, we made the pact to grow it together. And so we began to build and really work hand in hand and work together. By the time I got back, he had moved downstairs at Westall Common Suites,
yes.
and then back upstairs at Westall Common Suites. So that was always, kind of moving around. A couple of years after we'd settled and started working together there, an opportunity came up on Durkee, and we were at 43 Durkee in the old Merkel's building for a long time. Beautiful stone walls. It was a great location for us. But again, we started to outgrow it, and really, as we start to, as that story progresses, we outgrow. We move up into something different. So the lease was coming up at Durkee this fall, and one of our reps is also Lisa Laporte is also in real estate, and I just said, Lisa, just kind of look around, see if there's anything out there to rent. See what else is out there, just so that we can look and see what opportunities there are. So we looked around, and there's this and there's that, but she came back to me and said, there's not a rent, but there is actually a purchase available. And I said, well, I don't know where we're at that, but we came and we looked at this building. It was the old Yankee Medical Building.
There's been so many things, including the North Country Girl
Boy
Scout
Scouts,
office.
the Girl Scouts.
Boy Scouts? Were the Girl Scouts here too, I think, weren't they? I don't know, I lose track.
I'm not sure,
I
but
know they were.
definitely the Boy Scouts, and it's kind of neat because we were able to honor that Boy Scout legacy last night, where we had Pack 36 of the Cub Scouts come in and lead the pledge.
I love it.
And we did Patriot handbooks, of course, and small flags for them after they were done. But they came in, led the pledge, and they did a wonderful job. So it's kind of nice to hit on those little legacy things as you can. So we came in, we looked at this building, and the first thing that struck me was this open room and the space. And we started to look, and it was very different than it is now. And we've done a lot of work inside. In fact, one of our reps, as this all progressed and we were looking at what we were going to do, one of our reps came forward and said, you know what, I will buy that building. And that's Sean Davies. He works with us on a part-time basis, and he's done very, very well. In fact, he was the top rep last year. So, a building, I guess, is a motivator.
Isn't it incredible?
But it's wonderful to know that we have a landlord that we can count on, and he knows that he's got somebody who's going to be here for a long time. I'm going to stay here for as long as we're going to stay here. So, the idea is we've got a permanent location. We've got a place where people will know where Woodmen Life is. We're going to do a lot of things here. We intend to do we're going to be doing a blood drive coming up in May. We'll get more information out about that. We're talking about possibly a car seat inspection with the state police, a few different things and just trying to do neighborhood things, community things, food drive coming up on Join Hands Day on the 7th. We'll have a location here for people to drop off food. We're going to continue to. We want to be present in the community, and the big step to that was being here on Boynton, where there's so much traffic.
Just unbelievable, right on the top of Boynton Avenue Hill. Calvin said Halsey's Corners, famous historical spot, as a second skirmish in the Battle of Plattsburgh on September 11th, 1814, with the reenactments every year.
And I can bet, Calvin, that Halsey's Corners will probably get its flagpole pretty soon.
That's another great thing about Woodmen and the flags and the patriotism and those are things that attracted me to the organization from the very beginning.
Definitely, one of our hallmarks is donating flags and flagpoles throughout the community wherever there's a need. If there is a nonprofit out there that is in need of a flag or a flagpole, I actually was coming through Moore's. I had to go and pick up something from one of our members. Stopped into the Mountain Mart up there, ran into somebody who said, "We need a couple of flags for the senior housing. You know, we always got them. Dad always got them, and you know, Dad's not there anymore." And I said, "Hold on, I've got some in my car. I keep a stash in my car
Of course you
in
do.
case I run into somebody, because that's what we do. We're there to be able to offer the community that, and you know, with schools and budgets and municipalities and budgets and things like that all the time now, that helps. Every little bit helps. We actually, you know, when we talk about flags, I just got in an order of 35 flags for the honor flights. So we provide the flags for the veterans in the honor flight.
And I think most of our viewers are familiar with Hometown Cable's attachment to the veterans and the North Country Honor Flights, and we have been since the very beginning. And, you know, another way that our paths cross and intersect all the time. There are people watching this program, as I'm always amazed that there are always somebody that doesn't get the word, and they have no idea what Woodmen Life is all about. And we're going to pause for a moment, and we're going to come back and talk about it, okay?
Definitely.
Okay, Timmy. All right, we moved to the inner sanctum, another wonderful room. It seems to me, Tim Gonyo, that when I first saw this room, there were boxes and filing cabinets and things stacked so high you couldn't see one end from the other.
When you first came in, this whole wall back here was all file cabinets. There were piles and piles of boxes. There were piles and piles of boxes out there because we just moved. And it took a little while to get things completely finished. We wanted to get in, but at the same time, there was still a lot of work left to do. And as the workers were working, we kept saying, "Hey, so when is that going to be finished? When are we going to be ready?" And every time the gentleman would come to me and said, 2 weeks.
2 weeks. So
2 weeks later,
it's turned into
2 weeks.
I remember how hard you worked the last few days to get ready for the grand opening, and a little midnight oil you guys spent, and everybody worked like
Definitely,
yeomen.
and you know what? One of the hallmarks of what has been built here through Dale and with my help is teamwork, and the team that we have in place right now is phenomenal, and we help each other. They help each other, and we've been able to do a lot more in the community, and with just with the sales ability, because we work together and because we help each other.
Now we're going to talk about what Woodmen is, a little bit about its history. It goes back for a long time. I know a lot of it because I do read the magazine whenever it comes to my house. I never see enough pictures about this area.
I know, and that's partially my fault,
Well,
because
no,
through everything that we're doing, I never have time to send those things in, and I need to make time to send those things in. If we sent them in, we'd be in there, and we just need to do better with that.
It's kind of nice. You mentioned the word fraternity, and that pretty well defines what Woodmen has been for a long, long time. When and where did it start?
Woodmen of the World started in Omaha, Nebraska in 1890.
Think about it.
So 125 years last year. We celebrated the 125th birthday of Woodmen of the World, and at the same time, right at June, and it was June 6th, 1890 that it started, and right as we hit that milestone, and what happened was, over the course of time, there were other organizations called Woodmen of the World in 9 states. So
I
in
didn't know
9
that.
states,
No kidding.
we used to, so always had a disclaimer at the bottom of all of our forms and things. And in 9 states, they were Woodmen of Omaha. So over the course of this time, and right around the time of the anniversary, they actually settled all of the things that were going on around that, and they were able to take control of the name Woodmen of the World in all 50 states. So with control of Woodmen of the World in all 50 states, they were able to do whatever they wanted to with a service mark. And basically, there's a great commercial, and we actually run that on your show that talks about how, you know, life is fast now, and we've shortened the name. So it's Woodmen Life, and Woodmen Life helps us in so many ways because people now understand quickly or have an idea what we do. And when you say Woodmen of the World, you know, it's been around for a long time, but a lot of people hadn't heard of it. So, you know, what do you make wood? Do you sell wood?
Yeah, are you lumberjacks in Tupper Lake?
Yeah, you lumberjacks. You have that big Woodman's Day in Tupper Lake. Well, it wasn't us, but we used to make the joke that we were the best dressed lumberjacks you're ever going to meet. But Woodmen Life. You get that life on the end. You know that we sell life insurance, that we sell financial services, that we protect families, that we, you know, our goal is to make sure that people are secure in their retirement and in their, you know, if something happens.
It's a powerful story.
It is a powerful story.
And you're sitting here with a legacy that, as you said, goes back a long, long time, and it was Woodmen of the World for well over 100 years.
Absolutely, absolutely. I feel like, you know, I've felt like. Whenever, you know, we're here and whenever we look at the entire region that we operate, and the region that we are part of is New York, New England, and New Jersey, and the growth potential is still out of sight. It's still amazing. I can bring people, and I've just done that. I brought someone in last year, and she did a wonderful job, and she is now moving to Vermont as the new manager in Vermont, and that's Ann Bricky.
She's going to give her your old chair?
She's done a fantastic. I'm going to give her a lot of stuff, but not my chair. That's
okay.
Actually, believe it or not, I've still got furniture over there that I was letting
kidding.
somebody else borrow.
Oh my!
She's going to take that over. But so the idea here is that we're growing, and we're able to begin to grow out in some of these other territories and help build that. And I feel like we're on the ground floor of something that's been around since 1890, and there's just so much room for growth. I am always looking for new representatives, looking for people who want to sit down, help people. You can do so much in this job. You help people, and you can earn a very good living. By helping people and by doing great things in the community. So if there's anybody out there who is looking for a position or looking for a change in their position, please give me a call, talk to me. I would be happy
And you see
to,
the light
to bring
bulbs
them
going
on.
off all over hometown cable country.
And what we can do, and this is the beauty of it, what we're able to do is, if somebody comes in and they're ambitious and they want to go somewhere else and help build, we have spots all over New York State. We have spots in Vermont. I mean, Vermont, there's 600,000 people, and we're going to have an office we have an office in St. Albans. So there's a lot of room for growth. New Hampshire, Maine, Connecticut, Massachusetts, New Jersey, all of these different places, and then ample places throughout New York, that if somebody wanted to come in, learn from us, in a year, in 2 years, they could be out running their own area and building their own area and helping to build Woodmen Life. So it's a powerful story, and it's a powerful opportunity.
I've seen tremendous growth with Dale and now with you, just in the year since I've known you and Dale, and just to be in a facility like this. People watching this program would be hard put not to think that it was just built and finished. Actually, the reconstruction job did almost make it brand new when you're thinking it that way.
It pretty much
But the
did.
building has been here for years and years and years.
This is, I mean, the basis of this building is back into the 1800s, from what I understand.
A long, long time ago. So who drew up the floor plan for putting this place together?
The floor plan was basically here. We've basically just used the floor plan as it was.
I thought you put
In
up
the
a
back,
wall or two.
we put up a wall or two in the back.
Yeah.
But that's actually a separate office for someone else who was renting one part of it. For the most part, we just basically came through clean and redid it all
I bet
cosmetically.
you have a better meeting room than this.
It was perfect. I
First
think these are the
class.
things that when Lisa first brought me in here, I walked in and it was raw,
Yeah,
but and had been left. Yankee Medical had left over a year
I remember.
prior, and it was just an empty shell. But there was so much potential. This was one of the challenges we had in the old office was the room was probably maybe to here
Oh, yeah,
from what you see,
sure.
and it was very small for our conference room. So this, made it much more conducive to a large team and made the conference room that much more. We're going to do small seminars here. We're going to do small member appreciation dinners and things like that, and just little informal gatherings to explain to people what we have to offer, some concepts that may be maybe they didn't know about, but things that they could do to better their financial situation, or maybe you want life insurance and there are different ways that we can do it. So, I don't want to get into too much detail, but there's a lot of different things that we can do, and a lot of concepts that we can put forward for people, and we want to do that. It's funny. We had a seminar at Pasquale's.
That's a good idea.
We were going to have a seminar at Pasquale's, and I'm going in there and I'm thinking, okay, I've got my screen and I've got my projector and I've got this, and I got into Pasquale's and there's really no place to set all that up. And we ended up with just a small, informal, sitting around a table like this, having dinner and talking about these concepts and talking about what we do and talking about what Woodman does in the community. And this was for one of the reps, and he sold everyone around that table. By the time the next month had rolled around, he'd gone back and was able to, because it was intimate, because they understood things, because we were able to one-on-one talk about, and that's what we do whenever we go into somebody's home, or and here's the exciting thing about what we do now. Back in the day when Calvin was selling, you went to people's houses. And I dare say that the percentage was you were 95% in somebody's house, and maybe you had an office, and maybe you didn't have an office, or maybe they came to you 5% of the time. And over the years, because of an office situation like this, because of where we were in Durkee, and now especially here, we actually are, I dare say, 75%. We do our meetings right in the office, and about 25% we still go out to people's homes. And we are still more than willing to go out to people's homes if that works for their schedule. But a lot of people like to come into the office, and that's been a major shift for Woodman over the years. Would you agree with that, Calvin?
Yeah. Things change.
Yes.
When I mentioned legacy, there aren't very many organizations like Woodmen that have such a legacy. Mm-hmm. You mentioned visibility. It's important to be involved in the community, and you are.
Absolutely.
In every possible way. Family orientation, visibility, and we're I mentioned early in the show that we're doing this on the 16th of March, 2016, the day before St. Patrick's Day.
The day before St. Patrick's Day, and this year we have the honor of being the sponsors of the St. Patrick's Day dinner in Plattsburgh. So it's visibility is really
I was
really
surprised
key.
and thrilled to hear that.
Yeah.
I'm so glad you jumped aboard on that.
Visibility is key, and we're working very hard to be out there, and just this location, and we're right here on Boynton. It's made a big difference for us.
But Woodman, let's get back to family.
Mm-hmm.
Woodman has always been involved in family. Woodman is a family when you think about it in that
Absolutely.
respect.
Yeah, it's a fraternal organization.
When times are good and when times are bad, Woodman is one of those things like your local fire department or your church or your friendly insurance man or woman. You're there. So It's always been an integral part of what Woodman is all about, hasn't it? Family.
Absolutely, family and service to the community. Family. I mean, we do things for families. One of our, one of the things that we can do because we are a fraternal is we can do some give back to our membership, which is fantastic. I mean, I always say you can buy your life insurance anywhere. You can go to whatever companies are out there. That there are many brand names that sell life insurance, and the prices are going to be pretty similar, and everybody is going to be, pretty much on the same level. There might, somebody might beat me in term, or somebody might beat me in a different thing price wise. But when you look at the family aspect, when you look at all the things that Woodman has the ability to put together on the fraternal side, it makes a difference to open your eyes and look at those things. I mean, we do member appreciation all the time. We have coming up on the 13th of May. We have our annual dinner in for the Shazy chapter, and that's in Altona at the Rainbow. And we are honoring this year as our Citizen of the Year, Sister Debbie Blow of.
Who shares a birthday with
Who
a guy
shares
I
a
know?
birthday with me? I found out yesterday.
Yeah.
North Country Mission of Hope, and we are also honoring her protege, Sister Stephanie, who is going to be our Caring for Others award. So, we get to do these things in the community, and you get to, and our members get to be a part of that. We provide a free dinner for our members who want to attend. We do free movie days for our members. 3 times a year, we do a movie day. We saw Star Wars together in a theater with 200 people, opening weekend. We're able to do these things for our membership. Plus, there are all sorts of member benefits that are tied to Woodman, like a catastrophic illness benefit, certain cancers and other diseases. There's a $1,000 benefit to help get back and forth to the places that they need to go and medical. The orphan benefit, unfortunately, we pay those out, and we also have the first responder benefit that I've personally seen pay out faster than the actual death claim.
No kidding.
We had a situation and that was paid out faster than the actual death claim.
Wow.
Just by providing, here's the information, this is what happened, and here's a newspaper article about what happened, and it got there before the death claim did. And the death claim, it doesn't take long, but that fraternal side moved that much faster.
How many chapters do we have in Northern New York?
We have, if you want to talk about Northern New York in general, I would have to tell you 4. We have the Shazy chapter, that's 462. We have the Plattsburgh chapter, and the nice thing about this new location is the Plattsburgh chapter is able to hold their meetings here on a regular basis. And
that makes
we
perfect
actually,
sense, doesn't it?
We bring the Plattsburgh chapter here to hold the meetings and do all of those things. We store a lot of things for the Plattsburgh chapter because, of course, Shazy has its own building on the Macadam Road in Shazy, just past the hockey rink. In Malone, there's chapter 1022. And in Tupper Lake is chapter 1024. And of course, right across the lake, we have chapter 1 in Vermont. So when you talk about the North Country and you talk about Northern New York and Vermont, there's 5 chapters that are doing business. And we try to do a lot of things together.
And you got Glens Falls.
And then, of course, there's Glens Falls down south
Sure.
and Albany. There's a couple more lodges throughout New York and
How much
Connecticut.
of it all is your personal responsibility now?
My personal responsibility is Shazy and Plattsburgh. So I operate and build. My team is building in Clinton County and Essex County.
Are you happy with the progress you've made in the last couple of years?
Absolutely. In fact, if you look at last year, the Plattsburgh chapter had over a 5% increase in membership.
That's not hard to take.
And the Shazy chapter had about a 2.5 to 3% increase in membership. So between the two of them, we're doing quite well with growth, and we want to continue that. We have a great concept. You know, it's family and community and protection, and I think that really works.
I've been with you for I don't know how many events here in Shazy, and had some real fun time with dogs and cats and people and kids. But I've also been in this building a couple of times with you, and you were kind enough to invite me here with one of my books. And a lot of little kids.
Absolutely. You know, we're really we're trying to make sure that folks know that we're here. We actually were able to have Santa Claus here this year, and that's when we had you here doing
what a
with
wonderful
the coloring
evening
books.
that was.
And what a great night! And people, we had the radio station here, and it was just a good time. And that was one of those first attempts to do something in this building that draw people here. And then we're gonna do a lot more of that. We want to draw people to come in and see what we are and what we do. So whenever we go out and whenever we're doing, you know, if we're doing Halloween on Safety Street, or if we're doing the Christmas parade, we're when we give things out, we're giving the idea that people come and see what we do, see who we are, see what we do. We want to be visible in the community.
Is there anything else that Woodmen offers that we haven't talked about, Tim?
We are basically full service when it comes to life, health, accident now. We offer,
really?
you know, the core products for Woodmen are always going to be life and annuities, but we are actually now able to sell Medicare subs. We sell Part D, the prescription drug insurance. We have access to a private exchange for health. So if somebody individually can't get health, their business doesn't offer it, but we know we all have to have health care now because of the Affordable Care Act. We have access where we can shop the market and check for subsidies and see what we can do for people. So if you need health, if you need life, if you need and we have some accident insurance that we offer through different carriers. But one of our biggest things that people don't know, that people wouldn't know at this point, because it's kind of a newer thing for us, but we've been slowly working on it for the last couple of years, is we now have Woodmen Life at work, and that allows us to go in and offer our life insurance that's portable, and they can take it with them if they leave their job. And in a lot of cases, that's not the way that works, but we can actually go in and sell our product at a unisex rate in a business and have it come off a payroll deduct. We can also offer our annuities for Roth IRAs and IRAs at $25 per month to start, which is, you know, in most cases you have to, if you're going anywhere else, and if you're outside of a business with us, it's $50 a month. So we have the opportunity within a business to do more and give people opportunity to put some savings away if maybe that business doesn't offer a 401k, maybe that business doesn't offer any kind of retirement. We can go in and we can offer that through Woodmen Life. The other thing that we also offer that people wouldn't think that we do is we can now do 401ks. And we can now do. In fact, we have 3 now in the area, and we're growing, picking up more as we go. And we work with a company out of Vermont that allows us to do business benefits just like you would get anywhere else. So, group life, dental, vision, all of those things, disability.
That's pretty cool. That's
So we
really
can do it all.
wonderful. Well, we're going to find out a lot more about Woodmen Life and look maybe through other parts of this building before we leave as we continue our program with Timmy Gonyo at Woodmen Life. Now we're back where we almost where we started. I started outside with Calvin, but we've come inside. This is a nice big wide open space out front for people to walk in. It's impressive when you come in the door.
It is, and this was the big draw when we first came in to look at this building. It was, here's a space where we can have meetings, where we can bring people in and talk and do it without having to go to a restaurant, having to go here or there. We can do it all right here.
It's very tastefully laid out, things on the wall, special plaques, photographs. It's really nice. So you can have a lot of community events in here, and you do.
Absolutely, and we've had the opportunity to do that with the Santa Claus and of course we do a lot of this. Our national focus for fraternal is hunger. So we've been able to
I didn't know that.
So last year and this year, as the national fraternal focus is hunger and feeding the hungry. So on Join Hands Day on May 7th, we're going to have the opportunity here and at the Chazy location on Macadam Road to have people drop off food and that type of thing.
It's only a couple of months away.
It's only a couple months away. We were talking about
it's
it.
gaining on us.
It's coming quick, and we actually started as part of that focus. We actually started down in Peru at the soup kitchen, where we've got a team that goes in and helps
No
with
kidding.
that. So
we've
joined that rotation as well. So
How many people work in this building now?
in this building we have 9 on this team. Actually, it'll be 8, but we have 9. Well, actually, I'm just adding a few more. So we've got people coming in over the course of the next couple of months. So in fact, I just hired somebody new.
Good for you. You are a go-getter, Timothy. Let's look a little more. You and I
Sure,
can walk
yeah.
and talk just to tell me what you got.
Back behind here, we have some cubicles for some of our reps, and it's shared space.
So you had to put these dividers and things up, right, to separate?
We were able to get these dividers, and it worked out well. We've got Barb Hebert back here, one of our field
Hi,
reps.
folks. How are you?
Oh, I can hear you, Barbara. How are you?
I'm doing great, thanks.
Good to see you.
Good to see you as well.
We see each other about every 2 or 3 weeks,
Yes, we do.
whether it's at a grocery store or on the
Yeah.
street or somewhere.
That's the benefit of being in a community that stays close together.
She's helping us pray for spring, too,
Oh yeah.
We're hoping to get into the 50s today. Our esteemed local weatherman said, I think we're turning the corner. But too many weather people are skiers, and they're not very happy with this year at
No,
all.
it
Well,
hasn't
you
been
and
a
I
very
are
good
loving
year
it.
for that.
Yeah.
Nice to see you,
Good
Barbara.
to see you.
So you have several little offices and cubicles, and
Cubicles back here, and space for reps to come back, and sometimes they can even bring a client back here if we're busy in the other rooms.
that's wonderful.
A lot of, like you said, a lot of paraphernalia against the walls and little things that I've collected over the years.
Yeah, guess where we are now? Guess where Calvin is now?
This is Alyssa Neverett, one of our newest reps.
Hello, Alyssa.
She's doing very, very well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And this is our little reception area, and where we keep things stored, and a little homage to our mystery theaters that we do every year. Back here. And
That's great. Tell me about the Mystery Theaters. I think that's so great.
the mystery theaters we've done for the last several years. In fact, we've got 5 now in the books, and that's basically a dinner and a show for a charity. So the last couple of years we've been working with the Relay for Life, and actually this year we were looking at doing some sort of bid system where we look for a charity and we give other charities the opportunity to possibly come in, and we're considering maybe taking a year off this year on the Mystery Theater. So we're not quite sure how it's going to work, but
We won't put you on the spot then.
there's a few different things that we'd like to do with it, and we'd like to look at some other organizations that they may want an opportunity.
I love it. Okay. Next.
Next, my office is here.
Oh, here comes Calvin.
I've been cleaning all week.
Oh, you have. You knew we were coming, huh? No remnants of a birthday cake in there at all.
No birthday cake here.
Oh, yeah, your last name is spelled right, so that's a good thing.
That helps.
That's wonderful. All the good plaques on the wall to know you're bona fide.
And basically just a bathroom and a kitchen here, and nothing really to go any farther with.
It is a wonderful space, and I want to commend you for, number one, for caring about the North Country in which you live and work. Because I know there are people who like to insulate themselves in a little cubbyhole somewhere and sell whatever they sell, from groceries to insurance or whatever it is. But when you care about the North Country, when you care about the people, about the families, about the mothers and fathers and kids and grandpas and great-grandchildren, I think it says a lot for you as an individual, and I know that's true of your staff too, Tim.
I appreciate that, and we definitely, it's you can do this, and you can do whatever you do, but when you have the opportunity to help your friends and your neighbors and your family, and the people that you've known and that you've grown up with, and the people that your parents have known, and to be able to help all of those people doing what you do, it's just that's the beauty. I mean, that's really something that's important.
To extend that a little bit, this is what Calvin has done for all these years with Hometown Cable.
Absolutely.
Showing a little snapshot of a person or a place, whether it's a piece of history or whether it's just somebody who's doing another job, or somebody like Tim Gonyo, who's been in the radio business and wasn't sure what the next chapter of his life was going to turn out to be, and here it is at Woodmen Life. So
you never know what what life is going to throw at you, and if you have that opportunity to give back and be a part of the community, then I wholeheartedly recommend that opportunity to do it.
Do you have a website?
We do have a website with Woodmen in general. It's woodmen.org. So if you want to learn more about Woodmen, you can certainly go there, and then go to Facebook and see what our chapters are doing. And that's really the.
We gotta spend a little time on Facebook, don't we? She's smiling over there.
but definitely check out the it's Woodmen Northeast. Chapter 1016, Woodmen Northeast, Chapter 462. See what we're doing, and we're always trying to get things on there and let you know what's happening. Lots of great events, lots of things that we do for our members and for the community at large.
The flowers aren't the only things that start to bloom again at this time of year, and we all look forward to the grass turning a little greener, especially for St. Patrick's Day tomorrow.
Absolutely.
And so we'll follow your progress from time to time.
Thank you. We appreciate that.
And no doubt we'll come back here to join you for some more community events at some time, Timothy.
We'll be having them. This place will be alive, and that's what we're hoping. We're hoping that we're able to.
Thanks so much for inviting us here today. And if you talk to Dale down there in Florida, say, "You son of a gun." Gordy's eating his heart out.
I'll have to tell him that all the weight he's lost.
Wish him the best.
Found.
Oh yeah, I got all 27 pounds.
It's okay. I found
right
it.
here, baby.
I found it.
Low center of gravity. Thanks again, Timothy.
Thank you.
And I really want to thank Tim Gonyo, who manages this particular office of Woodmen Life on Boynton Avenue at Halsey's Corners in Plattsburgh, for inviting us here today. Calvin and I have enjoyed the tour and had a great time. I hope you've learned a little bit today and that you'll go out and do some research if you're interested in the various products that are available on the market today. Find out about your North Country and what they do for each other. Thanks to all the people who watch this program and give us suggestions. Thanks especially to those of you who will take a moment now to write a generous check or open your wallet and put some money or that check in the mail and send it to Hometown Cable in care of Calvin Castine, 1477 Ridge Road in Champlain, to help us keep this program going for you far into the future. And who knows where we're going to be next time for our little corner.
Calvin Castine probably off camera.
Oh, squeeze in there, Calvin.
That's all right. We're going to talk again with that prolific young writer that's been storming the North Country for How many years now? When did,
I don't
was
know.
this the first one here, Gordy?
That's the first one. That's a long time ago.
Gordy
I
Little.
forget when this book was published, Kelvin, but it was a long time ago. And let me see, 2009. Can you believe that? What is
6 years
that?
ago.
Yeah.
7 years ago now. 7 years ago, Ghosts of Clinton County. And that started Gordy thinking that, well, if I if I can sell one book, maybe I can sell more. And we're going to be looking at his latest endeavor, but chronologically, what was next? Champy, probably?
The Little Champy book with Larry Gooley of Bloated Toe Enterprises. This was kind of a labor of love and had to do, all these things were, as a matter of fact. I was on the radio for a long time.
This is a children's book.
And this is a children's book, and I just decided that I needed to do something for a living when I walked out of the radio station one day in April of 1997, and so I wrote lots of things. And then I realized, you're happy with what you've done, why not share them with people? So it's a difficult business to write books and get them published, or write anything and get them published, as you know. So I wrote lots of letters looking for literary agents, looking for publishing companies and so on, and I was absolutely discouraged until I met up with North Country Books in Utica, the last big publisher in northern New York, and told them about my ghost stories, and they said, okay, we'll publish it. And the rest, as they say, is history. They accepted it. I made a contract with them, and I've been selling books through them on many different places in many stores and venues since that time. So then Larry Gooley and the Little Champy book about Little Champy Goes to School, a children's book. And then...
And we got to mention your illustrator.
Oh, my good friend Les Bradford, who flew the last B-52 bomber out of Plattsburgh Air Force Base, retired Air Force pilot, a dear, dear friend, now in his 80s, retired and living in Peru, New York on the River Road. It's just one of those things, pure serendipity, that threw us together. And at my kitchen table one time, I coerced him, and that's the proper word, into illustrating that. And he went through the process kicking and screaming, but did such a wonderful job with his line drawings. And then he introduced me to his wonderful daughter, Janelle Mishonsky, who's affectionately known as Kay, without the E. My wife's name is Kay with the E. And she had a partner at that time, Marcia Wright Reeves, in Texas. And I asked them if they would be willing to illustrate another book called Sparkles and Shiner, another children's book. And they said, yes, we'd love to do it. So they took up the task of illustrating, and it took them a long time to do the fabulous, fabulous color illustrations. And when they finished, my friends at Border Press, Jim Rochester and Elaine and Danny, said, yeah, we'd be delighted to publish that book for you. And so they did. And it's been tremendously successful, especially around Christmas time, because it's kind of a Christmas story. And then came the coloring book called The Gordy Little Giddles, where I did drawings while I was on the radio, as you would doodle if you were on the telephone. I did that when I was talking to people on the radio, on the telephone, playing records. And my wife kept all those drawings, which were signed and dated, thousands and thousands and thousands of them.
Inside.
And here's one that more people have colored that I can imagine, and every time somebody finishes this drawing, they send it to me. So we picked 30-some of these drawings, Elaine did mostly at Rochester, and decided to put them in the book one at a time with blank pages on the other side. Some people are using crayons, some people are using pastels. I use colored pencils, and I've enjoyed coloring every single one in this book, and so have hundreds and hundreds of other people, to the point where the first edition is just about totally sold out. So guess what? I'll be calling Elaine saying, hey, we need to do a volume 2. But since she has a thumb drive with 7,222 objects on it, including over 5,000 drawings, I think if I live to be 171, we will be able to put out new editions of the Gordy Little Giddles, which are called Giddles because I signed my name G. Little.
Okay, and that's like you said, chapter 1, and who knows,
Volume
you've
one.
got enough for
Oh, yeah.
another
People are still
50 at least.
ordering copies of it, and I'm, like I said, I'm just about out. I have a few more in my little valise in the back of the car in case somebody wants one.
Okay.
So then,
Okay, well, today is March 16th, 2016, so now I'll let you continue.
well, a long time ago, when I left the radio business, I wrote prolifically for that entire year. People asked me to write for the local newspapers. People asked me to write for some local magazines. Calvin came to me and said, I think we ought to do a television program to replace what the late Bob then was doing and what's going on here. So my life changed abruptly, and you know, my life is like one of these books, Calvin. Next chapter. Turn the page and do whatever you need to do. And the books were selling well. So I wrote a thing called Marilyn and the Magic Closet. And I don't know about any of you people who are either writers or aspiring journalists or writers who are out there today. But perhaps you feel like what you do is inspired. I can't stand to take full credit for anything I do because I'm not smart enough to do any of the things you see on this table or have seen me do or heard me do down through the years. The good Lord is with me, and that's why I pray every morning for the energy and prayers of gratitude for good health and so on to be able to continue. So most of my kids went to Saranac Central School. And there's a street in Saranac called Gonyo Drive, named after the late Dr. Gonyo, who made house calls and treated so many people and their ancestors who might be watching this program, that they named a street after him. And as I would be driving down Gonyo Drive, which runs fairly parallel to Route 3 through Saranac, and on the other opposite side from the Independent Cemetery, I saw an old house. And I said to myself, there's something charming about that old house. And being interested in ghost stories for all that time, my imagination began to work. And thank goodness for the imagination. And over the years, that house grew on me into my intellect, into my imagination. And I said, wow, I wonder if I should write a story about it. And so one day, I was so overcome by the feeling that I should do it that I went home and wrote this entire story in one afternoon. And it's called Marilyn and the Magic Closet. And it's just a little story about a little girl from that area whose father loves to flip houses, if anybody knows what that is. They would buy a house and live in it, and he would rebuild it and remodel an old house, and then they would sell it. And it just happens that they bought this little old house on the end of Gonyo Drive, and in the process, she went into a room that was to be her bedroom, and somehow got inside one of the closets, and the door closed. And when she got it opened again, she was in England hundreds of years ago. And what happened to her in England and how she got to meet a bunch of people that looked strangely like her own family is interesting and amazing to me. And look back in it, I still don't know where the story came from except in the ethers. But I call it the lost manuscript. You can see that I've even called it that on the front of it. I'm showing you this particular page which Elaine Rochester gave me because initially she had hoped to put a rectangle around this very critical object, which is a glowing glass doorknob. Perhaps you had some in your old houses. And she said, well, wait a minute, how about the oval one? And so I came home and asked my wife and asked friends and asked Calvin and many other people, and I think we've settled on the oval, so that's the way it's going to be. So in any case, I wrote the story. Nobody cared. And one day I was invited to the elementary school in Katyville to read. The school hasn't been opened in many years. So I read the story, and teachers were very kind, and they clapped and they enjoyed it. And this one little girl seemed very deeply moved by it and asked me if she could borrow it to show to her mother, because it hadn't been published, of course. Now, in those days, I had an ancient computer, and I didn't know how to save anything on it. I just knew how to type on it. So I didn't think I had saved it, but I did have that one copy and that one copy only, and let her take it home and begged her to bring it back the next day. And, you know, you can see where the story is going. She never brought it back. The teacher didn't know who she was, which student had asked for it. And so for years, maybe almost 15 years, it was gone. It was missing. Have you ever tried to recreate something that you lost? Have you ever been writing an email or a Facebook message and it just went from the screen and filtered out through the universe into the ethers, and you tried to rewrite it and you couldn't? Well, I couldn't. And I gave up on it, even though I enjoyed the story, until one day one of my sons, who lives in Morrisonville near me, called up and said I was going through my junk drawer and I found a floppy disk, and it has your name on it. Bingo! The electric light, you know that from the old cartoons, went off in my head. And I said, if it says Marilyn on it, I'll kiss you on both cheeks. Well, I don't know if I kissed him or not, but it did say Marilyn on it. And the lost manuscript was found. And with a few minor revisions and a lot of help from my friends at Border Press at 37 Clinton Street in Rouse's Point, Marilyn and the Magic Closet is ready to be published in the spring of 2016. We have a proof copy here, and a number of illustrations that I think are pretty fantastic. And a lot of the book has to do with history, because I think little kids ought to be told about the history of their area. And that's why Calvin and I have spent so much time at the museums in the area, at the Babby's Farm and Family with Leeward and his crew out there on the River Road in Peru. And so when this little girl goes into that old house, she sees a kitchen with ancient stuff in there, like a dry sink, like a pump, like a cistern in the cellar, and on and on. And then she goes into a bedroom and she sees a 4-poster bed with a chamber pot under the bed. And who watching this program even knows what we're talking about? And a skeleton key, which is critical. So she has an adventure based on those experiences. And like Calvin, I love to give credit where credit is due. And we did a recent program with Woodmen Life honoring a friend of mine by the name of Dave Justice, because he's been one of the great unsung heroes in our community. He's done so much for people behind the scenes without hardly anybody knowing about it at Christmas time, feeding families, giving presents to the kids, doing whatever he can. And so Woodman gave him a nice award and had a banquet in his honor and others one night. And Woodman were there and I was there. And so I thought it would be necessary to work Dave Justice into this program into this book, because I found out that a lot of kids do not like clowns. They're afraid of clowns. And so I used that in the story. And the moral of the part with Dave Justice involved, and he's a good clown. He was in parades, and he is in parades. So I didn't mention his name in the book, but he'll know who it was, and those people who read this book who know Dave will know who it is. So there's a part of it about Dave and about clowns and about the parades in downtown Plattsburgh. And I used as many local landmarks as I could, including Ganong Drive in Saranac and Kleberg and Redford and a couple other places that people might be familiar with. So, It took a long time to put it together, but it's a fruition of a dream for me to see it in print, because it has, with your name on it, with the pictures that somebody has done so beautifully by the gals in Texas. And I'm just so absolutely pleased that Janelle and Marcia Wright Reeves have consented to illustrate this book and have done all those illustrations for me. It takes a long time because somebody has to read your manuscript and see inside your head and try to determine what a girl should look like. What should her dog with all of its new puppies look like? What should this old house look like? And for goodness sake, what should that wonderful little cottage that she found in England hundreds of years ago, what would that look like, just based on the words that I wrote in my manuscript? Well, because there was magic involved, and because somebody up there started to shine a flashlight on me, it turned out beautifully in that respect. I have no idea how the book is going to sell. My books are available in many venues around the North Country. I never found a publisher outside this area. Larry Gooley has done some work for me and will be doing some more. The Border Press has done several books for me, and they'll be doing some more. And I'll be doing a lot of the marketing myself, so people can go on my Facebook page, Gordy Little and Gordy Little, Who's He. And now Timmy has assured me, Timmy Gonyo, who helped me with those Facebook pages, has told me that they still have GordyLittle.com sewed up. I guess once you sign up for something like that, if you keep it going, you can use it. So hopefully in the future, there'll be some kind of a web page, and I'll be selling those books there. In the meantime, you can find those at the stores. Many of the stores, the businesses and bookstores in this area have been so kind to me down through the years. I'd like to thank them all personally, but the list is so long I can't mention them specifically. So if there's ever any question, my name is in the phone book. My email address is Gord, Gordand, the letter K, at AOL.com, and I can be reached anytime either by email, on Facebook, or on the telephone. So it's an adventure for me, and I hope for other people too, and I don't know how many other books might be packed away. I do know there are at least 500 more ghost stories just waiting to jump out into the North Country, and perhaps I can get to another ghost story book this year too, Cal.